Another application of square roots is the Pythagorean theorem. And in a right triangle, you can use the Pythagorean theorem to find missing sides. And the sides that are touching the right angle are called legs. The side opposite the right angle, which is always the longest side, is called the hypotenuse. Please spell it correctly. And long time ago, Pythagoras, back in, I don't know, BC time when he lived, they didn't have electricity, they didn't have Xbox or, all the things that we have to entertain ourselves. And so a lot of the time they spent coming up with these math formulas and discovering things about the world that we take for granted now. And so what Pythagoras discovered was that anytime he had a right triangle, the sum of the squares of the lengths of the legs equals the square of the length of the hypotenuse. We know that as a squared plus b squared equals c squared, but that's what he said back in that time, where c is always the hypotenuse. So let's use the Pythagorean theorem to find the length of the hypotenuse. Now, if you notice, the hypotenuse is always across from the right angle. It's the one that is the only one that doesn't touch it. So anytime you have a formula, you write your formula, and you plug in what you know. So it doesn't matter which one you make A and which one you make B, but the hypotenuse has to be C. So that gives me 49 plus 576 equals c squared. Don't put 625 on the right-hand side. Put it underneath. C squared always maintains the right-hand side. So that equals c squared. And now you do the inverse. You square root both sides, and you get that c equals 25 centimeters. If you want to try, try number 2 on your own. So I got square root of 149 inches. If you want to turn that into a decimal, hey, go for it, but I'm cool with you leaving it like that. You aren't always looking for the hypotenuse. You need to be careful that sometimes the hypotenuse is given, and you have to be careful when you plug that into your formula. So you write your Pythagorean theorem, and you plug in what you know. So 3.5 squared plus b squared equals 6.5 squared. So some people are like, oh, I just automatically plug the numbers in for a and b. That's not the case. So grab your calculator and let's do it. I got 12.25 plus b squared equals 42.25. Going equation style, drop a line down, minus 1225. B squared equals 30. Show the inverse. B equals the square root of 30 kilometers. You want to leave it like this, totally fine. Okay, let's see how it is used in a real-life question. You've got these two paintball teams, and they tell you the distances on the coordinate grid, and they showed you that they created the distances using a right triangle, and they want to know this shortest distance, how far apart they are. So let's use the Pythagorean theorem. Since this is across from the right angle, it's the hypotenuse. So 30 squared plus 40 squared equals c squared. 30 squared is 900. That's 1600. And when you add it, you get 2500 equals c squared. Square root both sides. C equals 50 feet. If you have questions, please write them down and ask me when you come to class.